is Friday Night Lights with Brandy Flores. Brought to you by Outdoor Living Concepts, your outdoor cooking specialist.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brandy Flores, and welcome to week one of Friday Night Lights. It's been over a year since a high school football game was played in the Valley, and it certainly feels like longer. But the pandemic has put football and all sports on hold. So tonight, we're so excited to bring you highlights from week one games, but also to showcase our local student athletes who have dealt with so much and waited very patiently to get back on the field. So we don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's jump in. We'll start with the most talked about matchup of the week, the Palm Desert Aztecs hosting the Palm Springs Indians. The Aztecs are reigning champs of the Desert Empire League, finishing undefeated 5-0 for the 2019-2020 season. Palm Springs finished second that year at 4-1, but is looking to upset Palm Desert to start the season. Right off the bat, it's looking good for the Indians, who owned the first quarter. They jumped out to an early 13-0 lead, but the Aztecs would answer right back. They scored 3 touchdowns of their own in the second quarter, including this 51-yard bomb at the end of the half, and we head to halftime with Palm Desert up 20-13. The third quarter would start the same as the first, Palm Springs dominating the time of possession. They cash in midway through the quarter on this short touchdown that ties the game at 20. But the story of this game, Palm Desert answers right back again. The Aztecs drive downfield and produce a short score of their own to retake the lead 27-20 with just under 10 minutes left in the game. We've got a good one heading down to the wire, folks. Palm Springs drives back downfield and scores on a short sweep. They are now within 1, down 27-6. That wouldn't last long, though. Palm Desert goes up 34-26 on a 17-yard touchdown run with 44 seconds left. So Palm Springs has a chance down with 8 under a minute. They set up on the 11-yard line to try and tie, and the ball is just out of reach. So Palm Desert takes the win 34-26. What a great game. I caught up with Palm Desert running back Hani Joe after the game, and here's what he had to say. Amazing game.
Thank you.
First game of the season. What was it like just to step out onto the field?
It's different. Obviously, because of COVID, we can't have our student section. Changes everything. But feels good. We've been waiting 16 months, and I think we came out here and capitalized. We got the much-needed victory. Palm Springs is an amazing team, but in the end, we were the better team.
And I mean, towards the end there, the game was really close. You guys were just trying to kill time on the clock. What did you see open when you made that last touchdown?
I'm going to be honest, I shouldn't have done that. I should have gone the other way, but I saw it, I took it, and I was being a little selfish taking the touchdown. I should have just kneeled it, but in the end, my defense had me back.
And then what about your quarterback? You guys seemed so in sync today.
Daniel Carter's an amazing quarterback. I've known him since kindergarten. We finally just became back friends. I love him to death, and he really stepped up. This is his first padded football game in a while, and I think he really stepped up and did a great job.
So your guys' first game in the books, to be here, high school football, again in 2021 after the year we just had, what kind of emotions are you feeling?
Too many. I'm so excited for the future games. I'm so happy for our seniors to get a nice dub after like 16 months, and I'm just happy overall. We got a nice easy, not easy, but victory.
And just down the street, Xavier Prep hosting Rancho Mirage. The Rattlers finished third last season, going 3-2. Meanwhile, the Saints right behind them in the standings with a 2-3 record. Let's see how they started off the new season. Both teams definitely shaking off the rust to start the game. We saw several fumbles, including a couple near the end zone for Xavier. A low-scoring first half sees Rancho Mirage hold a slim 6-0 lead. But early in the third, both teams started to get going. The Rattlers take a 22-6 lead. But the Saints would have something to say. They score a couple times and make it a one-possession game. And with 3 minutes left in the game, they score to take the lead 28-22. That score would hold, and Xavier Prep takes the win.
What's going on? What's going on, guys? Just sitting here post-game after a great win, a come-from-behind win for the Saints. Really proud of my guys. We've overcome a lot this year, not just us, but everybody in our community. So we were just very ecstatic to have our kids out there with a chance to play a game that they love so much. Over the last year, we really got to see what we feel like when we don't have the game. So I think they cherish it a lot more now. I think they care about it a lot more now. And it's always nice to get a win, especially against Rancho Mirage. They're a first-class organization. LD's one of the best coaches in this valley, hands down. And anytime we can get a win against those guys, we're going to cherish it. But We know we have a tough game next week, and we'll enjoy this for tonight and get back ready to go tomorrow for our next one.
All right, thank you, James. And in our last DEL game of the night, Shadow Hills hosting La Quinta. The game was scheduled to be played at La Quinta, but the scoreboard issues forced a last-minute venue change, and these two teams definitely have some work to do this season. The Knights finished 5th in last season at 1-4, and the Blackhawks going 0-5. But it's a new season, and Shadow Hills has a brand new head coach, so let's see if they can change that. Shadow Hills comes out the gate firing. They score less than 2 minutes into the first quarter to go up 7-0. La Quinta gets on the board late in the first quarter with a 39-yard scoring drive. That knots the game at 7-all. Then, on the first play of the second quarter, the Knights find the end zone again to put them back up by a touchdown. They'll tack on a couple more scores and take the lead at halftime, 28-7. And they would not give that lead back. The Knights keep rolling in the second half and go on to win this one, 42-14. The Coach Esquivel era has officially begun at Shadow Hills, and here's what Shadow Hills quarterback Alan McCaffrey had to say after his team's win.
We got a good game plan set up. We knew what they were running on defense, and we capitalized. And my teammates did well setting it up for me. My receiver was getting open. My line was blocking. So we did good.
And now we'll turn to the DVL. Just one game on the slate tonight. Cathedral City hosting Coachella Valley. The Lions are young this year. 20 of their 32 players have never played football before. So let's see how they do against a more experienced Coachella Valley team. Coachella Valley would dominate this one from the whistle. They were in control, coasting to a first game victory. They hold on wire to wire, taking the win 46-0. And here's what Coachella Valley captain Sebastian Camarena had to say after the game.
We felt a little nervous because it's our first game back after, a year? So just getting back to this is pretty good. And it's a good experience with a new coach, new system, but same thing basically. But it's a good experience.
A great first win for Coachella Valley and a tough first taste of the action for those young Cathedral City players, but hopefully they can bounce back next week. And look at this, cheerleaders on the sidelines of tonight's game. Hours before tonight's games kicked off, the state released updated guidance allowing cheerleaders to be on the sidelines. Previously, sideline cheer, band, and drumline were not allowed. Palm Desert High School cheerleaders found out they would be at tonight's game around noon and immediately started planning.
A little bit frantic, but still very, very excited that we have the opportunity to be out here. Cheer has been one of my favorite things about high school, getting to cheer at football and basketball games, and I'm so happy. It honestly, it makes up for a little bit of what COVID took away from us getting to be here tonight, so it's really exciting.
And with the guidance changing so close to game time, some schools weren't able to put plans in motion, but I'm sure we'll see more cheerleaders on the sidelines next week. During an average pandemic-free high school football season, we would be comparing teams from last year to this one and predicting who's going to be the most competitive. But this short 5-week season as a result of a global pandemic is anything but normal for these football programs. High school football programs across the valley have been impacted heavily by the pandemic, which is why this spring season it is a fresh start for most schools.
It's a clean slate going into this year.
It's definitely not fair to compare, last season or this season or what possibly could be in the future. That's completely different scenarios.
Our numbers are lower. We've had some key kids decide not to come back. It is what it is, and you have to kind of adapt to that. Everybody's going through the same thing, I'm sure.
Like Coach Lee said, several schools have been struggling with filling a full roster due to low student turnout.
We got basically 32 kids on paper. That could be 28, but it's, our numbers are really low. It's just one of those things where getting everybody to come back, obviously that didn't happen. We've had a lot of kids, not decide to come back. Parents won't let them come back.
The student decrease, there are several factors that have played a role in that, and that is that all the teams are going at once. Kids cannot be playing multiple sports, so it's made it difficult to field full teams across the board.
Another key factor coaches have to focus on a lot more this season is players' safety.
Safety is our number one concern at this point.
The best thing was being able to get some weight training equipment outside of the weight room so kids can start working out with weights, just to get the muscle there, to get the muscular endurance as well, and just to reduce the potential of any injury, but concussions as well.
We have to make sure they're contact ready, but on that same thing, you really got to stress fundamentals. We really have to be careful about what we do and who we put against who and different things like that. So it has modified your practices.
Football is back, and for these student athletes, this might be the most normal they have felt in over a year.
The competitive spirit is always going to be there. We get kids on the field, that whistle blows, they're going to want to win. And they're going to want to go 100% and give their best effort.
There's been no sense of normalcy for these kids, so it's been a serious, serious deal. To have something that they can look forward to, you know, Friday night football, it's just huge.
With all of the changes schools and athletes had to go through, I would say the fact that we saw high school football games tonight was nothing short of miraculous. So now we're going to take a look at what's going on next week. We'll start with the Desert Empire League. Palm Desert travels to Shadow Hills, which should be a really good matchup after this first week we saw. Rancho Mirage hosting La Quinta, and Xavier Prep is at Palm Springs. Meanwhile, the DVL will start on Thursday with Indio hosting Cathedral City. Desert Hot Springs travels to Yucca Valley, and Coachella Valley hosts 29 Palms. Well, I've had so much fun being here chatting high school football with everybody. It was so nice to be back on the sidelines and just amazing to see these student athletes get back to doing what they love, playing some high school football. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our first Friday Night Lights show of the year. We will be back next week, so be sure and tune in every night for the next 5 weeks at 11 o'clock. And once again, can't stress this enough, how amazing it is to see our local student athletes back on the field. Until then, I'm Brandy Flores. Good night.
It feels great. We haven't been out in a long time. It just feels good to be out here again and playing ball.